SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here goes Frazier down the line, delivers the ball to Green. Green's on the corner, going down the sidelines. He's on his way. He's got a touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
It's a pass to Drew Pearson. He caught it. Touchdown. The Cowboys are out in front with 42 seconds left.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And good afternoon. Welcome to SicEm365 Radio. Kind of a unique version today. Craig, Paul, I'm David Smoak. We're in 3 different locations. Armstrong Sims as well, producing at his location because of some of the conditions, although it seems like at least this afternoon things are a little bit better, but we know that the weather's a big part of a lot of things that are going on. So hopefully you're safe and you're warm and you got whatever you need for the rest of the weekend. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, and Craig Smoak. Well, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Bruce Feldman has just now reported that Brian Stewart is about to be the defensive coordinator with Maryland. And I had somebody yesterday within Baylor Athletics tell me that the coaching staff was still a little bit fluid because of other jobs around the country that could open up. And so Brian Stewart, the cornerbacks coach, defensive backs coach, is now headed to Maryland, it appears.
Yeah, and he's got NFL defensive coordinator experience. He's done that. Cowboys, Eagles, he's been there. I believe he's from that region of the country anyway. Mike Loxley's got something kind of interesting going on there, and we'll see what happens in Maryland. I know that on offense, too, his brother is their quarterback now, so we'll see. But, when you get a chance to move up from a position coach to a coordinator, you kind of have to take that job most of the time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate just when you feel like the dust had settled a little bit that, now, hey, here's more of a shakeup. So, it's something to where the coaching carousel never really stops unless the season is right around the corner. So we knew that there could still be room for some more changeover. And here's some more changeover. And that's a solid group coming back. So I think whoever they go out and hire, they will have, Kalen Barnes. They'll have Raleigh Tejada. They'll have a good mix of guys to work with. So it'll be interesting to see who Aranda goes and picks. But with his background, it's better to be replacing, a cornerbacks coach than replacing your outright defensive coordinator or somebody else on the offensive side.
Yeah, no question about it, especially when you've had the changes with Mateos and Stuckey and, of course, with the offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, and everything seems like, at least for now, that's pretty stable as they head to the offseason, and that's the side of the ball that struggled the most. So we're going to have today kind of a mixture of segments. Some of them that, in fact, we've all been kind of busy throughout the last 2 or 3 hours. I had reached out to former Nebraska Hall of Fame and national championship coach in Tom Osborne. I talked to him before back when I was in East Texas, and I didn't know if I'd get a response quickly. He actually called me. Paul, you and I shared that earlier today. We'll have my conversation. Remember, he was one of those names like Dungy and others that reached out. Dave Aranda had conversations with him, and Osborne really does like Aranda, and he's got that quiet personality, that kind of calm demeanor. So we'll have that today coming up at 4 o'clock.
I'm just glad that you didn't end the interview by saying, I love you.
I don't remember if that's what
I checked. I checked. I thought that was the first.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was the first thing I did. I didn't listen to the beginning. I fast forwarded all the way to the end. I just wanted Tom, I didn't want to say Coach Osborne, thanks for being on SicEm365 Radio. I love you. I don't think it would have been that awkward, but I almost did it with Bobby Bowden. So I know how you have to deal with these things.
In the background, there's an autograph of football. One of the few autographs I have from anybody that's an autographed football that somebody inside of Congress had gotten for me. That was a Louis Gohmert out of East Texas had gotten for me. So we'll have that. Craig, I know there's certain personalities, and you've interviewed some guys that UFC or even some other personalities you've had. Is there a coach that you would like to? I know Bobby Bowden, Paul, for you and a couple of them, but is there a coach, Craig, that would be the one that you would like to have a chance to interview at some point?
We've talked to Bob Stoops before, so that would probably be the guy that I'd want to talk to. But we've actually interviewed him before, so I don't know, maybe like a one-on-one with Bob Stoops that was like kind of a reflection on, his career. I think Lincoln Riley would be fun too, just because he seems super interesting. And yeah, I do have like that Oklahoma lean with those, but I'm trying to think, obviously if there's like a Dabo or a Saban or something like that, that would be a cool thing. It's not necessarily a wish, but yeah, kind of in that realm, like a Stoops or a Riley or, one of the all-time greats, like a Saban would be fun.
What'd be interesting, guys, is that I bet if you did get a chance to do an interview with Saban, if you got that opportunity, there's a lot of people that would be nervous about it. I was not nervous about Osborne. I had talked to him a little bit earlier today, but I bet he would be really good. If you did your homework and you were prepared, Saban would give you a tremendous interview.
The only reason I wouldn't want to do a Saban, or I'd be nervous to do Saban, is if we're in a situation like Radio Row and we're kind of like sitting around in the zoo, and then somebody says, "Do you want Coach Saban?" I'd be like, "Yes," but then I'd be like, "Well, I haven't even thought about what I'm going to ask him," because there's those times on Radio Row, you guys know, we're like, "Do you guys want this guy?" We're like, "Yeah, sit down," and you have to in 30 seconds think about, okay, what I'm going to ask this guy first before I can look him up on Wikipedia so I can kind of balance the rest of it. Can he give me a good answer so I can get it? With Saban, I'd want to go in with a list of questions, be ready to go. So I don't, do you like coaching football?
Yeah. I would say you're really not as badass as you appear to be, are you? Just like break the ice. That would end. It'd be 12 seconds or whatever. All right. There's a lot of other things to get to. Aditya Malhotra is the guy that is, a couple of coaches told me he's the oil that allows the engine of Baylor men's basketball to run. He is the one that gives everyone else peace at being able to do what they need to do because he's come in and he's done so many things, his responsibilities. And even in this crazy year of COVID, we'll have that here momentarily. So much insight. I'll sneak a real quick story about when they started last year off with that loss in Alaska to Washington. The coaching staff was like, because they blew a lead. And the coaching staff was like, oh, my God, what do we do? I'm not saying they were in a panic. And some of the players, according to DTA, some of the players said, they started laughing. Like they were like not laughing at the coaches, but they were kind of like laughing. And he tells me the coaches were like, what are you guys laughing at? They said, we're going to be fine. And that's kind of that leadership that they have that's carried over. They won 20-something games in a row after that. And he talks about how that also has helped with what they've been able to handle, even with the current delay right now with COVID.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me about that team, that they would be like, we're all right. We're good. I mean, that's how they've been to another level this year whenever they've slipped off. It's they just roll with it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes, and I even mentioned this to him in the interview with what you see with Paul, Craig, and me, and what we do every day. It's the guys behind the scenes. We have a lot of great people. Armstrong today is the one running the mothership, and of course, if it's not Armstrong, it's Connor or Cole or Rob or Jack, among others, and Colt Barber's been instrumental, as always, as well, Brian and Ashley. So J.J. Watt today, this Houston Texans franchise, and Paul has an interview with John McClain. We double dip with John today. We'll have that a little bit later on in the 4 o'clock hour. So they lose DeAndre Hopkins. It sets off really everything we're seeing now. Then Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play there anymore, whatever happens with that. And now J.J. Watt, and I'm not so sure that they weren't looking at maybe moving on because of his productivity compared to his salary. What were your thoughts when you saw today that he's the one that requested a release and they said, okay?
Well, for me, I was just, I guess, kind of somewhat shocked. I mean, to see him outright, request a release is kind of surprising. That shows you just how bad it's got in Houston. I mean, this is like the final straw, right? Mm-hmm. If anybody was going to stick around, it was going to be J.J. Watt. So to see him get to this stage and to see how quickly this is all unfolded for the Texans. I mean, to go from having a core of guys, having a young quarterback, having an MVP on defense, having a good young receiver, to just having nothing really, it's insane. And I don't know how Texans fans are are dealing with today, but they've had to deal with a lot here lately. So I guess not entirely surprised, just given kind of what we heard coming out of Houston the last couple of weeks and how unhappy people seem to be, but still a little bit surprised that this has just, happened so quickly.
Paul, without giving up the John McClain interview, what was John's reaction initially? Was he expecting this?
Yeah, he was. And again, they save a lot of salary cap money. Something he and I didn't get into, but, I talked to, our buddy Adam Winkler, who's been on the show a few times, is from Houston. He bleeds Houston. He wakes up in the morning and, even though he is in Virginia, checks the weather in Houston. I mean, so he and I shared a text this morning, and he said the worst part about this is going to be not that JJ's leaving, because, look, he's got to go play for a contender, but Houston people want him to go probably play for the Steelers and play with his brother. So that's a good, heartwarming story as much as the city of Houston hates the Steelers. But he's probably not going there. He's probably going to somewhere like the Titans, because the Titans have money under the cap. They need pass rushers really bad. And, Mike Vrabel was the defensive coordinator of the Texans for a while and knows J.J. Watt really, really well. So they might have to face him twice a year. They're going to save the money in the salary cap. We can do that to try and repair their team. But the reason he's asked for this release, and this has been a writing on the wall, is his career is not that much longer, and he's got a ring chase a little bit here.
Yeah, he's got to do what we've talked about. And he's a Hall of Fame, probably at least candidate. His injuries have mounted up. He has not been as productive the last 2 to 4 years. I watched him a few times. He just doesn't have that oomph, and understandably so. So there was a list, and I think it might have been Brian McTaggart, who covers the Astros or MajorLeagueBaseball.com. He made a list of the top 10 all-time Houston sports personalities and players. He started out with Akeem Olajuwon, Earl Campbell, Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, and then J.J. Watt. Now, right below that was James Harden, Warren Moon, Andre Johnson, Nolan Ryan 9, Bruce Matthews at 10, did not include Jose Altuve or Mike Munchak. And of course, it's only 10. You can't have 12. But those are some of the names. I'm not going to get into the entire list, but how would you, if you were to look at the names I mentioned, is Earl about where he should be? Are Biggio and Bagwell, we know about how good and important they were, but Nolan Ryan 9?
Yeah, but he left. I'm surprised that James Harden is 6th.
I agree. Yeah.
Like what? I mean, and Craig, I know you have strong feelings about this. What has he done for Houston other than score a crap load of points?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's way too high for James Harden. He doesn't even need to be top 10, in my opinion. He was good, I guess, but they tinkered around in the playoffs a bit, but they never got to the point to where you're like, oh, wow, he's an all-time great for the city of Houston. I mean, they never knocked on the door of actually winning a championship, but they were, around the corner in the neighborhood. So to me, that's not enough. I think Nolan should probably be a little bit higher, just because even though his career didn't end up in Houston, for a long time, there's just something about him in the city that you think of, like, great athletes, and especially from like that 70s, 80s time period. And you think of Nolan and you think of Earl kind of together, at least I do in my memory. So Hakeem and Earl are no brainers. Nolan I'd have higher. Harden I wouldn't even have a part of the mix. And JJ Watt's got to be, pretty high up there, I think.
Here's a note. I just looked up Ryan. Yeah, he was with the Angels, the Mets before that, and of course, a long time with the Rangers. He was there for almost a decade. Yeah. So I think that qualifies for him. But I'm surprised because normally, Paul, you and I have discussed this. He's normally put up not too high because he's a Hall of Famer, but it's almost like no one can ever surpass him. You know what I mean? So I'm surprised that he was that low with this list.
Well, it's funny. The fans in Texas give him too much credit, and the fans in Houston may not give him enough. So, but he's right there somewhere where he gets and they give him, like, he was the only good player for the Rangers, or the one worth watching for a while. Like, he was the first.
He gave them credibility when he arrived in many ways.
And then when he came back in ownership and leadership there in the front office, he gave them a North Star that they didn't have to follow. Mm-hmm. But he does, they did win a little bit after he left. So it wasn't like, it was just him. I mean, John Daniels did not get enough credit for that. But of course, people are going to, pick they're going to pick the pitcher over the stat nerd all the time. And I say that lovingly to John Daniels, but that's what he is to a lot of these.
Well, he's a Texan. He's a Hall of Famer. Astros, Rangers, won a World Series with the Mets, and yeah, you're right about that as well. So college basketball, Baylor's in this pause. I had traded a couple of text messages. In fact, I mentioned it to Aditya about okay, are you going to get all these games in? Are you going to be? And I think people might be kind of surprised with his answer. It's not like, oh, my God, no. At least there's a little sliver of hope. Now, the Oklahoma State game, I saw Ashley Hodge post something in the premium section earlier that he still thinks that game's not going to be played. Last time we spoke with Mac Rhodes, and last time I spoke with him even a couple of days ago, he said right now it's still a go. But, again, that could change by the time we end our show today.
Yeah, we got a week, though, before that happens. So,
So I was on the Big 12 radio network with Ari and Dave Archer. I'll ask you guys this question. They asked me which game that has been canceled or postponed is the one you wish you could have back. And I immediately said Gonzaga. But as far as value, and that would have been value because if you win that game, my God, it almost gives you like 2 losses of a mulligan. But as far as value, which of these 5 games that is in pause are they're missing? Would you like to see them play if they could play a game before that and then that one? That's a value. I got to say West Virginia on the road because that's a tough – I mean, even with less fans, that's tough doing what they're going to do. And I'm going to say this, Oklahoma State with Cade Cunningham, because in the postseason, you're going to run up against a team that has a dude that runs the show like that, and they didn't get to see him the first time. So I think that will be a good measure for early tournament games that you might find with a guy who is just one guy who's a stud who can keep his team in the game. Craig?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. Yeah, that's a good example, Paul. As far as Cunningham being a player who can, step out and maybe have a great performance. But, yeah, I'll go West Virginia on the road. They're playing really well right now. They're, right in the mix, and that's a team we haven't seen Baylor cross paths with at all. So I'm interested to see just how those two teams match up with one another since we kind of have a loose idea about Oklahoma State, although not entirely. So, with that being the number 2 team right now and being kind of the hottest team, I guess, given that they're actually out there playing games, I'll go with West Virginia on the road.
Here's an interesting stat. Baylor's 9-0 in the conference. They have 6 of those 9 wins are on the road. So if, in fact, they get to a point where they're going to make up any games, you would hope that they're going to get some sort of a slide to get that thing closer to being 50-50 home and away.
Yeah, it's hard to believe they've only played 3 home conference games.
They played a home against Kansas State, home against Kansas, and home against Oklahoma. So they're 6 of their 9 wins have been on. I didn't even think that way, but 6 of their 9 wins have been on the road in the 9-0 start. All right, so what do you guys think? I mean, there's wrecks everywhere. Paul, have you been out on the roads?
Not today. I have to drive about 3 or 4 minutes from here to go to my mom's house to drop off something for my nephew. So I will see how it is in a minute. I can tell you that if you just look at my street, it's probably a microcosm of what it is, and that like if there are spots that are covered up that like by trees or whatever, very icy, and then if the sun hits them, then it's fine. I think that's the scary part about the roads is that, if it's 95% fine, the 5% is what's going to cause all the wrecks.
Craig, I know you've been pretty much bunkered in, correct?
I haven't really had a reason to leave. So, I've got stuff here that I didn't really have to worry about getting out too much. But, it's just super icy. It's definitely bitterly cold, but I've had icicles that have been hanging from my, window ledges since yesterday. So it has not let up at all. And only supposed to get colder here over the next couple of days, oddly enough. So this has been, quite the departure in weather, but it's been kind of cool, I guess. Definitely looking forward to warmer temperatures, though, and hopefully everybody stays safe out there.
I did have a guy come here.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead and do that. Craig, don't let me forget what you just texted me because I was going to bring that up at the end as well with Baylor offering a local young star. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I did have a guy here. There are trees in my backyard, which I know you guys are familiar with. You've been here since we did the show here for so long. But lately they've been daring me to chop them down before they come in through the house because they're all dead. So he came by today so we could sign the contract of him taking these trees down. And he said the roads are pretty bad. So
yeah. Well, no, I was able to get to the studio without any problems yesterday. And then on the way back, though, when I'm on MLK, everything's pretty well okay. But one of the overpasses, and I can't remember which one it was. It might have been it wasn't Washington, but one of the overpasses may have been Herring. Had a couple of emergency vehicles, the lights flashing. So somebody obviously got caught up. I don't know if they hit the side or what. So just be really careful with that, whatever you're doing. Now, Craig, we mentioned a couple of days ago that Trey Wisner, the sophomore running back, slot receiver, and even plays safety for Conley, that things were about to blow up. Florida State, UNT, UT San Antonio. By the end of the day, it was Ohio State. Yesterday, Southern Cal. Well, there's somebody else now that's a part of that mix as well.
Yeah, it looks as though Baylor has finally offered the hometown kid. I say finally, but just, don't mean that, as a knock in any way. But with all these other schools that have been offering him the last couple of days, you kind of wondered when the school closest to him would jump into the mix. So, he has announced, I guess, that he talked to Coach Bell, and that is, who you would think would probably be the best guy to talk to with his China Spring connections, and obviously just time in the area. So he knows Connolly very well. So yeah, Sean Bell reached out to Trey Wisner, and Trey Wisner now holds an offer from Baylor to go along with USC and Ohio State, and plenty more to come. So they're firmly in the mix now, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and you would also think, if Sean wanted to know how good he was, he could call Brian up and say, what'd you think of when you played him? Because that was Trey's first good game against a good team, was the China Spring game.
Yeah, because he had always had explosive games, including the first one against Sunnyvale. But then you're right. And Shane Anderson, and I've mentioned this, he was always a little bit, like in the biggest games, of course, you're playing better people. He would kind of not be a factor. La Vega, Salado was another one. But inside China Spring, and that most of that was towards the end of the first half, second half, when he popped loose. The women's tennis, by the way, is going to play North Texas, but the game or the start of the match was pushed back to 5:00. Of course, the men are in the ITA Nationals as well. If you want to keep up with that, go to @Scotty_BU_King. That's SCOTTY_BU_King. This guy is a tennis knowledgeable, insightful phenom when it comes to men's and women's tennis at Baylor. And he's almost like one of our beat reporters because he gives me information sometimes that I don't even have. And I'm not always just like following Twitter. But Scotty B, we appreciate you quite a bit as well. So let's set up today's show. We're going to hear from Aditya Malhotra. He's the Director of Operations at Baylor Men's Basketball. We'll start with that. And then we'll have the interview that got a lot of attention on the premium section board with Charles Haley about depression. Dr. Tom Osborne, former Nebraska Hall of Fame coach, on Dave Aranda and speaking with him, and he discusses quite a bit about patience. Even he early on in his career, they were really good, but they couldn't beat Barry Switzer, but who could? Not many. And he even gets into that and the personality of Aranda and Osborne as well. Oh, Paul, sorry about that. And then John McClain on J.J. Watt. Drew Pearson finally gets the call. Tim McMahon with Paul Catalina on today's NBA, including the Mavericks and more. Darryl Strawberry on addiction at a little after 5:00 today. And then we'll have Josh Lomers in the big center that we spoke with yesterday as well on the show. Anything else you guys want to say to wrap it up?
No, just stay safe out there if you've got to get out, and stay warm.
Craig?
Yeah, no, I just thank everybody for being understanding of, the roads out there and just trying to play smart. So glad that we have the technology available to be able to do something like we're doing and still have a show out there for you guys. And thanks to Paul and everybody who's working hard to make that happen. But very excited to see Baylor throw their name in the hat for Trey Wisner. Going to be very interested to follow his recruitment over the next, year plus. But that was exciting to see. And just more change changes. I wrote a piece predicting next year's schedule. It's very, very early, and it's definitely going to change by the time, the season rolls around. I mean, for example, I wrote that piece last night, and Brian Stewart's already off the coaching staff. So who knows what all is going to change between now and the kickoff, but I did put that out here. So check that out over on the website, and I think that's about it.
All right. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoak, again, we hope you enjoyed today's lineup. Stay safe, stay warm, stay smart. I'm David Smoak. This is SicEm365 Radio.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Are you ready to save big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, save big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
Aditya Malhotra, Director of Basketball Operations for Scott Drew and the men's basketball program on SicEm365 Radio. I asked some of the coaches to tell me a little bit about you, your role, not just your role. I know what you do. Here's what one of them said to me. Our trajectory of late is in direct correlation to Aditya joining our staff. What does that mean to you?
That's an honor. I don't know if I give myself that much credit, but it this program, I've watched it. I came 7 years ago. I was a graduate assistant. I'd actually gone to Baylor as an undergrad, and I've watched it for a long time, and I just keep seeing the program grow and grow, and it's just almost like a maturing point that people talk about other, elite programs, how they got there. It's just been amazing to watch from Isaiah Austin and Brady Heslop, and then going through some trying years, but still having success, and then continued success to turning around to this year and kind of finding a niche of who to recruit and what our program's about, and putting some valuable pieces together. It just means like it's just been it's been headed this way, and I've just been blessed enough to be a part of it and kind of influence the ins and outs of every day with the program for me.
You mentioned Isaiah Austin. There was Perry Jones III, and at the time, Baylor was getting some of what were considered to be possible one-and-dones, and now it's a program built on, yes, there have been transfers to supplement in many ways, some great ones, including what you have now, but it's more of a team that's built with experience and depth, and not that you wouldn't want a one-and-done. Was that something that was actually discussed on this is how we're going to do it now?
I think everybody would say that the one and done, it's hard to turn it down, right? It's hard to turn down an elite talent player who wants to commit to you. And not to say we were turning them down, but I think, we say, like, we pray about every recruit, and we pray about, and there's plenty of guys who are one and done that we pursued. But just what happened was, there was just a kind of a crossroads where it was like, well, do you want to keep going down this path, but maybe not have the continued every year NCAA tournament success that you're hoping for, and then kind of take a risk? And I think it just kind of fell in our laps. We found guys who were transfers who had worked really hard to get there and kind of had a chip on their shoulder, and that kind of changed the trajectory of what we recruited. And that's kind of fell in love with guys who were willing to sit out for a year, work really hard, learn the system, and then be ready as soon as their turn came. So it kind of, in some ways, it fell in our laps, but it was, after we realized it, I think, yes, we, not to say we'll never recruit a one and done player or anything like that, but I think just that we realized, hey, we want guys who are, we always talk about staying old wins, backcourts win, and so just kind of moving towards that track. It's not that we're never going to, we have some great freshmen that are going to, be at Baylor, but in the end, we want experience and guys who've put in their time and have a little chip on their shoulder to show the younger guys this is what it's going to take.
You mentioned when their time comes. That's one of the challenges today. You guys have kept players happy, or at least they understand and believe and trust you, and vice versa, because you're going to get some people who might not have been, or the other way. It's kind of, you've had some guys leave, but you've had so many that show up, and like you said, they're waiting their turn. How rare is that today?
Oh, it's unbelievably rare. But it's just, I don't know. I think there's a process that we kind of put in place that makes it fun for them. And I know it's no fun for anybody not to play in a game. I mean, everybody wants to play. But, just thinking back to a couple of my first years where it was like Manu, LeCompte sitting out, but those guys had so much, even Davion and Maceo, they had so much fun in their redshirt year, just pushing our team to their limits, pushing Jared Butler every day, pushing Makai Mason every day, that it became, a ton of fun. And so it was hard to root against them when they played each other in practice, and they were such good competition that it almost, there's a culture here of those guys kind of transforming. Just think back to Kenny Cherry and Royce O'Neal. Those guys started it where they would get in the gym at 6 a.m. and it became almost like the first one in the gym. It was like a race to that. And that's what you see now. Like you see, Davion likes to post funny videos of him running in the gym when we're at some visiting team shoot around or something because he wants to be the first one. But it's just like, it's kind of all built up to that as like an analogy of what our program is built on, is these guys who know that if they put in the work, they're going to be successful. And it's just been proven year after year. I mean, you look at all the guards that we've had here who are, a lot of them were transfers, but just had so much Big 12 success or been all Big 12 players. So, I mean, I think we're just kind of blessed to have a really good staff that really all of us are invested in each player, spending time with them, taking them out to eat, especially in the years like this where they have to sit out, and then helping them believe that, hey, the guy ahead of you did the same thing. If you do it, you can get there too.
That's interesting because you have then your inner leadership on the roster. You don't have the coaches, obviously. You guys are doing what you're doing, but in a year like this, when you've had so much, like even right now, you guys are in a pause and there's missing games, and I'm sure there could be just anxiety, whatever else. Does the fact that you're a senior-laden team or an experienced team and you've been through this a little bit before, even at the end of last year, has that helped a little bit, not to just like people lose their minds?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, last year we didn't really know what to expect. We started out losing that first game, and our guys always laugh. Just the other day, they were telling a story about how after we lost the Washington game, when they came back and beat us in Alaska, our coaching staff was just we were like, well, what are we going to do? And our players were laughing. We were like, what are you laughing about? They were like, we're going to be okay. And they proved that. They went on a 23-game winning streak after that, and could have been a number one seed last year. And last year there were times where you were nervous, you were worried at the end of the game, like how's it going to turn out? But this year it's been strange. I mean, obviously with COVID and everything being different a little bit, it sets you back a little bit. But these guys that we have this year, it's just hard not to trust that at the end of the game or in the last 10 minutes of the game, they're going to come through. And just guys like Jared Butler and Davion, who we know they put in the work, and that they're, even Maceo, the way that they're ready, Mark Vidal, the way they're prepared, it's hard to just sit there and go, man, I really don't know what's going to happen here, when you just have a lot of confidence in them. And so, yeah, it's hard to sit there and be anxious and be worried, even in this pause, because I know our guys are working. Even when they, in situations like this, they wanted to get back in the gym as soon as they could in July, and they tried to do the best they could to work within all the protocols, but they were in the gym whenever they could be, and they're still, they don't, very few have stopped unless they're not able to because of COVID, but they continue to work, and it's one of those things where the program is the same way, that we work really hard at scouting opponents, we work really hard at recruiting people, we work really hard at developing our culture, and we just have to believe that the work that we put in is going to prepare us for the future. And then when the game comes, it's kind of, you just got to trust in everything you put in.
What do you have? Like on your wall with all of what's going on, with the 5-game stretch now, the game with Texas previously, and of course there was Gonzaga among. Do you have like a wall with an erasable marker? How are you the logistics of when you're going to play again? Which I know that's up to the Big 12 and Baylor and whoever else, but I mean, it might. You got to take a picture and send that to me, if in fact that's even what you're doing, because there's no way you could have this in your head. No way.
No, I mean, to be honest, this is my second year kind of taking over the whole operation side of things. And last year, I was telling someone the story, just last year, come August, I had every game planned out, every charter flight, every bus, every meal. And September rolls around and you're set to go. And this year in August and September, I didn't even know when we would play our first Big 12 game, or what our first big game. And just the way the season started, from supposed to be in Connecticut to ending up flying to Las Vegas. It's just, and Coach Drew being out to start the season, it's just been, I'm trying my best to keep our guys in a rhythm, or make it seem normal to them, that, hey, this is like last year, we're trying to do it, but it's just impossible. And so it's every week you just have to hold on and figure out, okay, I've got these plans, but then I've got A, B, and C plan, that if that doesn't work out, then we're doing this. And that's just kind of what it's been the whole year. It's like, you're trying your best to have some sort of continue to be some sort of rhythm, but even our guys know just in the back of their minds that the schedule says this one day, but it could be completely different. And just having an older team has been awesome because they know, hey, whether we're playing or not, this is happening at 2:30. We're going to be there. And if we had a younger team, it would have been a struggle. It would have been a challenge. But just being blessed to have a bunch of older guys that just know, hey, no matter what, we're going to be in the gym at this time. No matter what, we're going to get work done. And just kind of fighting through that. Hopefully this is the last time we got to go through something like this. But, I think it's better now. And I know it's hard for people to understand, but it's better now than later.
Oh yeah, no question about it. No question about it. I was told AD is the oil that makes the engine run smooth. You don't see it from the outside, but he's the one that allows us to just do our own jobs and worry about what we need to do. A problem solver, hyper organized. He's always 2 or 3 steps ahead. Elite at whatever he's doing, whatever responsibility he has or takes on.
Yeah, I appreciate all that. Maybe I make it look like I have everything together, but sometimes, especially this season, it's kept me on my toes. I'm more of like a calm, pretty even, steady. I'm not too high, too low, so maybe that makes it look like everything's going well. But there's been times, and the day of a game, we're getting ready to play West Virginia, and then we find out it's not happening, and it's been crazy. We have just a great staff and even a great group of graduate assistants. Like I think there was one time they did 5 scouts for us, and we didn't end up playing any of those 5
Oh my goodness, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so and these guys work, and that's just our whole program. If we were ever made to be or molded to be ready for this, I think we're ready for this just with the amount of change that we've gone through. So,
well, speaking of the scouting reports, Aditya is with us, Malhotra, Baylor Director of Basketball Operations. Jerome Tang, and I got Coach Drew. I got some of the quotes. I could brag on him for hours because he does so much, but for me particularly, this is from Coach Tang. He helps me with my scouts and does a great job getting me the meat and potatoes of the teams we scout. So that's kind of what you were talking about. You had 3 or 4 or 5 different scouting reports and didn't play anybody. But, it just sounds like, how in the world... I know you were at Baylor. I know you graduated from Baylor about the time Coach Drew began, and then you started coaching at Green Hill Prep, or private school. How did Coach Drew get you back to Baylor? How did that work?
I had to, early on, when I graduated, I'd always been a fan of the program. I had a good group of friends from Baylor that loved basketball, and we went to every NCAA tournament game that they ever played, whether it was in Louisiana or Atlanta or Elite Eight. And during that time, I was coaching high school basketball, and we had some good players, and Coach Tang had recruited a couple of them. I kind of said, hey, I'm a Baylor grad, got some players if you ever want to come down here. And he recruited some, and then we just had some discussions, and there was Coach Driscoll was around, and Coach Maloney, who's now a high school coach. But all those guys, I just got to know. I'd come to practices and see them, and I never thought college basketball ever had a chance to do it. I figured, high school basketball, that might be the ceiling for me. But when I come to practices, they'd be like, hey, have you ever thought about being a graduate assistant or doing that? And I didn't know much about it, but it was unbelievable the way it worked out. I told my wife, I just got married. We just bought a house in Dallas, and I was like, hey, I want to see what happens. We're going to apply. So I applied to the grad school. I got in, and the next day they told me they'd pay for my scholarship, and then I got the opportunity with basketball just by reaching out to Coach Drew and Coach Tang and saying, hey, I think I'm serious about this. Like, can I give this a shot if I can make it work with my wife and everything? And they were like, yeah, come on, as soon as you want to. And so Sam Patterson, who was here also, all big help in getting me here, and then just worked out. God opened the door. Our house we just bought a year before sold in a day. My wife got a job in Waco. within a week, and then we were here.
Wow.
It just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, it sounds that way. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this. And we have Mac Rhodes on every Tuesday, and I know you may not be able to answer the question, but you're in this stretch where, including parts of next week, there's 5 games that are on pause. And time is running out. The clock is ticking. In your opinion, do you feel like it's going to work out? Everything's going to work out? Not to make up every game, but do you feel like, just based on where you are now, what you know, that there's a good chance, barring any other setbacks, that you guys are going to be able to get in a handful of these games?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Big 12 did a good job planning this out. They kept an extra week. Normally we wouldn't have that extra week after, our regular season ends or for the conference tournament for this to make up some games. I think there'll be a good chance. I don't know if we'll make up every game, but I think there's a good chance we'll get to finish out many of the games we planned. Hopefully, we started out the season playing 6 on the road, 3 at home. Hopefully, whatever else we play, we can get to have our guys back at home and play those games. But yeah, I do feel good that we can hopefully finish out as many games as possible and still get the chance to pursue a conference championship, which our program has been wanting to do for many, many years. So
no question.
We feel good about it. We feel, as long as what we can control it within ourselves. We can't control obviously what happens with other teams, but we feel like after this pause and hopefully get our guys back in some shape to be able to play games, we'll be ready to finish out the season. So.
I know you got to do more important things to do this interview, but I think a lot of people want to know sometimes about the people, like when we host a show, when Paul, Craig, and we host a show, we have people behind the scenes that allow us to look as well as they can help us look, and then sound great and all the things we have, and it sounds like you're doing that as well in so many different ways. But then there are 2 other things I have to ask you about. I was told you have a great shoe game.
I do. Yep, I do have a quite the shoe collection that I do enjoy. A good Michael Jordan, shoe from back in my childhood that I remember. So yeah, I do collect quite a bit of shoes. I try to do my best to not make it impact our budget here at our house, but my wife is supportive of it, so I'm thankful for her that I'm able to enjoy a good pair of Jordans every now and then.
No, when you collect them, does that mean you put them in you have a walk-in closet?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, they're displayed, but I can't own a pair of shoes that I would never wear. If I would never wear them, that would just crush me. But every now and then I'll wear them, but I try to my best to take care of them when I wear them. And we have a closet, a big walk-in closet, and my wife would tell you that my shoes take up 50% of that closet.
Do you have more tennis shoes or Jordans or those type of shoes or dress shoes?
Definitely Jordan.
Okay,
yeah, definitely Jordan. Yeah.
You're also a good cook. What's your go-to? If right now you had to, let's say you take yourself back to before you got the job at Baylor, and you had to host Coach Drew or anyone else that was going to be a part of the decision making, and you had to cook something for them. And of course, obviously, you know what Scott probably likes the most. But what is the go-to meal?
Ooh. Man, I'm a little mixed. I'm a big smoker guy. We bought a smoker a couple of years ago, and I probably use that just about every other day. And I do a lot of cooking at our house. I do, until probably this year, I've done almost all the cooking for, meals and dinners, because I love food and I want it to taste a certain way. And my wife's like, I don't want to mess it up, so you just do it. But I would say probably, crawfish etouffee or lamb shanks.
Whoa!
Those would be my those are the things that I love the most. And so, but I mean, every day I love making brisket. I love ribs, and we do a ton of smoking barbecue food. but if I had to go to, it'd probably be like lamb shank or some crawfish etouffee.
First time you ever met Scott Drew, and now that you've been working with him on his staff and been at Baylor as well as a fan, watching them and now being a part of it, how do you describe him?
Unbelievably positive. Like at first I didn't know if it was real. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how. I thought he had to be putting this on, but like just even my wife, the way that she hears things and just hears our conversations, and she's like, every negative thing could go wrong, but he will always have a positive outlook on it, or he'll just always have an outlook of, well, I can fix this, or it's going to be okay. And that's what I feel like has just been the reason why it's been 17 years. It's just he is, he can be exuberant and outgoing, but there's just a steadiness and a calmness about him that maybe you don't always see, but it's there, and it's always positive. It's always looking up. So I'm sure lots of people have said that, but sometimes you don't believe that it's real because you're like, how can somebody, it's manufactured or something, but it's not. It's just within him, and it's awesome. Yeah,
that's what everyone, even those initially that, no way, and those who were negative about him initially and all the things they had written or said, many of them have now said, no, they finally understand this is who he is. You're the straw that stirs the drink, the oil to the engine. I mean, this is great stuff, and I appreciate you giving us time because I know you need to get into many other things. DTA Malhotra, the Director of Basketball Operations for men's basketball at Baylor. AD, thanks for your time, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, David. I really appreciate you. You've been a big impact, since I've gotten here, just to the Baylor community and what you do with your show and for Baylor sports. I don't know if anyone's had as big of an impact without being in the program for us, in our fan base. And so thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You too. Good luck, and good luck with all the future scheduling you have ahead of you. This is SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the three-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
9 different Super Bowls we'll have today on the show with our guest, and 5 of them, 5 of the 9, our current guest, former Cowboys and 49ers great, Hall of Famer, and 5-time Super Bowl champion Charles Haley joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Charles, thank you as always. Whenever you can give us time, what separates, in your opinion, teams that can win Super Bowls compared to those who cannot?
Well, the key for me and what I've learned from the guys I've been around is that you keep it simple. It's just a game. And those that make it bigger than a game, those are the ones that goes out and make mistakes. And, you can't put more pressure on yourself than is needed. And I think when the game is hyped up, guys start losing focus. They'll start going out. They'll start having girls in the room. It's just the little things. Those little things add up to be big things on Sunday.
Did it take you a couple of different times? I mean, you won all 5 that you played in, so obviously it went well for you. But did you ever get too keyed up for one of them, especially early on?
No, I had leaders. I had leaders in the locker room that taught us how to prepare. And like anything else, man, when you had a coach like Bill Walsh and a micromanager like George Seifert as a defensive coordinator, we went over everything twice. And Bill kept everybody loose. And one of the greatest things that I always remember is he would bring in people that have done, like, boxing greats or figure skaters or whatever. He would bring them in and tell us what they did to become a champion. He never told us how to be a champion, but he would bring other people in to tell us. And that was one of the things that I really, really admired about him.
Charles, what's the locker room like the day of a Super Bowl? Is it any different from, any other day? Just what's kind of like the atmosphere in the lead up to this game?
Well, you see a lot of guys be over there shivering and shaking. Those are the guys that don't, they just average guys in the way who kills. Then you have your meat and potato guys that you got to corral and keep them focused on what you got to keep a conversation going, so that you don't lose them, and then you just talk about, when we walk out here, we're going to walk out and kick butt, man. We're not going to run. We're going to walk. They're going to be patient because we're going to whoop all their ass. We just got to figure out where we're going to start,
When you think about it, Charles, and you were a part of some great football teams, and you were a difference maker as well, and you were one that helped flip the switch from what the 49ers were doing compared to what the Cowboys learned to do. But you were a part and won 5. How do you then even recognize what Tom Brady has done, being at 10 of them, winning 6 of them so far, and a chance to win again on Sunday?
Hey, man, only one person can stand in his shoes, and that's him. He's done something that people dream about, and that's winning 1 Super Bowl, and he's won 6, and he's been to 10. So he's a man above boards when it comes down to that part of it. But his age is catching up, and I just hope he's throwing the ball up for grabs. If guys can catch, opportunities are going to be there for him. You just gotta you gotta root for a guy that's that old and on his 10th Super Bowl. So it's just an amazing feat.
Of the 5, do you have a personal favorite season that you really felt was kind of special just to you?
No. Hey, every year comes with sacrifice. Every guy that you line up with had hamstring, knees, back, shoulder. We've always had something, and that made us bond even more. The sacrifice that we made for each other is the key. As I tell people, the Hall of Fame ring was given to me. The Super Bowl rings I sat with 10 other guys, and we sacrificed. We bled together, cried together, and we cheered together. And that's what makes a team. 11 guys, not 1, 11 guys getting together and making a difference.
Charles, you've been a part of a lot of efforts off the field to help people out, whether it be the Salvation Army or the Jubilee Center, all the different things, projects that you've been a part of. How much being a servant and helping other people, how important is that to you?
Well, as I tell my board members and other people, is that I've left a mark in the NFL that's sketched in stone. I said the mark I want to leave now is on society. I want them to understand that there's more to a man than just his job. We have to learn to give back. We have to learn to love one another. Now, when I say love one another, I believe that you have to be compassionate, because when you love, you close your eyes. But when you have compassion, you see. And that's what I do when I go down in the community. Me and Ronnie, we're doing a podcast tomorrow about mental illness, and I want to bring attention to that because I had to deal with that, and so many people are dealing with so many of my close friends, kids or wife or somebody has hung themselves, jumped off, did something crazy, and they're no longer here. So the family is left with all this grief and sorrow, wondering what could I have done. So I want to get out and let them know what I went through and how I came through it.
Charles Haley, 5-time Super Bowl champion and a Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive end. Would you mind telling us, if you don't mind, because it does allow someone who might be listening who struggles, who may not be at a really, really bad, deep level, but maybe they are. What was your lowest level? What made you get help?
Well, I lost it all. When I lost my family, I saw the fright in my kids' eyes for the first time in my life. I know I've probably done it about 100 times, but I saw for once the fright in their eyes, and I said to myself, I never want to see this again. And we don't have enough time to go through all my trials and tribulations, and I knew I had something wrong, and I chose to stay silent. there was a kid inside of me screaming for help, but I wouldn't let that kid out. You know, running a lot. I had a thing at the Raiders where I got mad and I put my hand through a glass. I had like a nervous breakdown, and the doctors wouldn't come and work on me because they were scared. And he was at the Raiders, and he had to come over, man, and calm me down, and he saved my life, man. And so he understands what I went through. He understands what he saw. He'll never understand what I go through. No one can understand what somebody with a mental illness goes through. But when you see it, you're able to have more compassion and help others. Because the thing that I want to tell everybody who's listening, find one damn thing to live for. Just find one. Don't find 20 or 30. Find one and believe in it. And that one thing will keep you from hurting yourself.
Charles, I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for just telling that story. It's every time we get to talk to you, it's always great that you are courageous enough to share your story and to keep helping people.
Hey, that's what God wants us to do, man. We have to be servants.
Charles, there was a time when you and the media, it just didn't go well. Was that part of you because you were angry with yourself, or did somebody burn you at some point early in your career with a column or a quote that was misquoted or something that was written about you?
Well, you know, I came from small James Madison, and I would do interviews. They would ask me a question. I'd say yes, no. You know, I didn't know how to elaborate on stuff. And then the guy went out and wrote a shit-ass story about me. And then the next time he wants to walk in and act like he's my damn friend. And I think I might have done something. And then after that, the media didn't like me anymore. But, you know, I'm good with that, man. What I say is this, man. If you treat people like you want to be treated, you will never have a problem. Every player that you stick a microphone in front of will answer your question if you treat them with respect. But when you think that because you have the mic, the bullet pulpit, that you can belittle people and you know and try to bring them down, you didn't build me up, so you can't bring me down. So that's the way I look at life.
Craig Smoak, one more question for Charles Haley on SicEm365 Radio.
Yeah, Charles, on a bit of a different note, so great to hear you tell your story, by the way. I think it's really helpful for a lot of people out there. This doesn't have so much to do with that, but we are in Cowboys country, and you are one of the all-time great Cowboys. What's it going to take for them to be in this game and have us covering them rather than Tom Brady or anybody else for that matter?
Yeah, gonna take a miracle. They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent to win. The guys that had injuries this year, major injuries, not just regular injuries. I mean, major injuries. They probably won't be ready to play to game 2 or 3. Going in and try to get back to full speed, and then you got a quarterback. Where's your quarterback at? Are you going to wait till the last minute, or then you got a quarterback that's pissed off because you didn't treat him with respect, and you got a defense, man. What the hell? You got linebacker core. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't even know if they got one. I just see a bunch of people on defense want to jump up and dance, and I don't see people making plays. So defense win games in my book, and I see a lot of them on the sideline. And when you start seeing these guys want to be on the field and make a difference, that's when you see the Cowboys. But right now, I don't see it.
Charles, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your story, and also the moments you gave the 49ers and Cowboys fans and so many other people, more about life than about what you did on the football field, but it gave you a voice and people listen. Thanks for your time so much.
Hey, thank you, guys. God bless you.
Wow. Charles Haley, deep.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Here goes Frazier down the line, delivers the ball to Green. Green's on the corner, going down the sidelines. He's on his way. He's got a touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We are joined now by Hall of Fame college football coach and multinational champion, Dr. Tom Osborne on SicEm365 Radio. Coach, thank you so much for your time. I know that before the 2020 season, which was crazy with all the things with COVID, that back at some point you spoke to the Baylor coaching staff and Dave Aranda, his first year as a head coach there. When you talk to a coaching staff in a situation like that, what was your message or what were you trying to convey?
Well, I had a couple of conversations with Dave earlier, just personal conversations. He called me. I really didn't know him. I knew of him and had watched him coach and admired his work as a coach. And so we exchanged some ideas, and he apparently was interested in some of the things that we did at Nebraska and maybe my approach to coaching. And so then he asked me if I would be willing to be on a Zoom call with his staff, and I said sure. And so I don't know if it did any good or not, but I just shared ideas with them as to how we treated players, what we thought was important. And one thing I think I'm pretty sure I talked to him about was I had a conversation with John Wooden one time. John was a basketball coach at UCLA for many years. I think he won 10 national championships in 12 years. And so it was kind of interesting. John never mentioned winning to his players. He always talked about the process, talked about first practice. He'd show them how to put their socks on so they didn't get blisters, and then a defensive stance, how to bend your knees on a free throw, and all the fundamentals. And so I told him that I really liked what John did, and we did that at Nebraska. We never talked about winning. We talked about the process. In other words, if what you did on Monday, if you did the right things in practice with the right intensity, you did it on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. You didn't have to make a big pregame speech. You didn't have to talk about winning, because the process would take care of winning and losing. And so we talked about those kind of things, and some of the goals we tried to set that matched up with what we felt fit into the process. And so anyway, we had a good conversation, and Dave strikes me as a guy who really wants to serve his players, cares about his players, wants to do it the right way. And so I was impressed by the conversations I had with him before the Zoom meeting, and then maybe one time after. So he's a good man, and I think he'll do a great job there.
You know, you don't talk about winning, but obviously you had amazing success in continuity and consistency, but also your demeanor. And I've talked to Coach at Randa about this, and he's even had these conversations with Tony Dungy, who's another one of those that was not someone that would, be up and down the sidelines yelling and screaming. Some have had success doing that, and some others have not. And Tom Landry, Tom Osborne, Tony Dungy. What would you suggest about someone when they don't have success? People say, well, he doesn't care enough. What were your thoughts about that as a coach?
Well, if you don't win a lot of games, people always begin to criticize. I mean, if you're a fiery coach and you're running up and down the sideline shooing players out, they say you're too fiery, you're too emotional, you're beating your players up verbally because you didn't. And the reason they do that is because you hadn't won. And then if you're a quiet guy, they say, well, you need to be more emotional. So people always will look at what you don't do and assume that's the cause. And they have no idea, because unless you're in that meeting room with those players, on that practice field with those players and in their living rooms, recruiting them, you really can't understand what's going on. It's not a quick fix. It's just what the coach's disposition is on a given day. And so the process that we talk about takes time. It's not something that happens in 1 year. And I remember Bill Snyder at K-State, I think it was about 5 years or so before Bill had a winning season. And yet I think Bill did one of the most remarkable coaching jobs I've ever seen, because when he took over at K-State was pretty much at the bottom of the list of all NCAA football programs. And then eventually he got to where he was winning the Big 12 Conference, was ranked in the top 10, had some 11-win seasons. But it took him 5, 6, 7 years to get there. Bill McCartney at Colorado, about the same way. Program was down. It takes a while to get it turned around. And that's probably the way it will be with Dave. I'm convinced that Dave will do well, primarily because of his approach. I think he's an intelligent guy. I think he'll do it the right way, and I think he'll get players who really want to play hard for him.
You help answer one of my questions in a way about coaches, longevity, patience from administration or fan base. You mentioned too, obviously, with even you at times early on, even though you had tremendous success, sometimes even people wanted more. But names like Bowden and Royal and Paterno and Bryan and Beamer and Osborne, and you had the long stretches of staying at one school. What do you think now about the changes constantly? It seemed like Kirk Ferentz is now the longest tenured coach, and it's just over 20 years, and that's the rarity. Your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's become more difficult because of the rules now in college athletics. As you know, the transfer portal is wide open, and I think the average Power 5 school has had at least 9 players in the last few months leave and go on, and some of those are pretty talented players. Some of them are down the line kids, but the coming and going and athletics makes it very difficult to sustain a roster. And I think also maybe the amount of money being paid to coaches causes coaches to move more. We probably lost an assistant coach about 1 every 3 years. So we had a lot of continuity in our coaching staff, and that was very helpful. And so continuity among players, among coaches, having players willing to redshirt and stick around 2 or 3 years and maybe not see the field very much in order to just play 2 years is really rare. And so I feel for these coaches today because it is more difficult. And then, of course, social media and all of the media scrutiny has probably intensified quite a bit too. So it's not an easy profession, and I think you have to be pretty well grounded. I know in my case, I think my personal faith was important to me. You have to have a set of values, core principles that kind of head toward what I would call true north. And you're going to get battered and beaten around the ears a lot of times. But if you have a set of values and a set of beliefs that are pretty firm and pretty solid, that's about the only way that I know that you can hang in there and have a fairly long profession. And of course, the brutal fact is you got to eventually win quite a bit in order to do that, and so it's not easy.
Coach, can you imagine not having spring drills or having constant interruptions? And everybody had to deal with it, not just Baylor, but having a first-year staff, and then the mixture of 2 or 3 that stayed on, and then all these others that come from everywhere in a coaching transition, and then not having spring drills or even really much of an off season, and then the constant postponements and pauses. What can you even imagine dealing with that?
Well, I guess I can imagine it because I observed it. Observed it here at Nebraska and other places. But it makes it very difficult because when you bring a new staff and you don't have spring ball and you don't have time for the coaches to really get to know the players and to install a new system, and then going to be thrown into the fire in the fall, has got to be very difficult. Those staffs that were already established, that were up and running, certainly had an advantage. Even though they didn't have spring ball, it was much more advantageous to them than somebody starting new. So Dave and his staff really had a rocky road ahead when they because of the COVID situation.
Coach, a couple more questions. And again, thank you so much for your time. You were at Nebraska for a while before you became the head coach, and you had the great career. In the end, can you, when you look back at the constant, the consistency of what you represented and what the program represented, do you have time? Have you even now ever had time, and you're not one of those pat yourself on the back guys, to understand what you accomplished?
Well, I guess I know the wins and losses, the numbers of those. But probably, to me, the most important thing has been the relationships. One of the great things about coaching is that players graduate and they move on, but there's hardly a week goes by that I don't hear from 3 or 4 players. Some of them were played back in the 60s, some in the 70s, some in the 80s, some in the 90s. And see them go on and be successful in their careers after football, and to be good fathers, to be good husbands, and those things have been very meaningful to me. And in the long run, that's more important. The influence your program had on those people is more important than maybe the wins and the losses, the trophies that people focus on. But it's been enjoyable from that standpoint, and of course Nebraska was the state I was from, and to be able to coach here and be here for 36 years, 11 as an assistant and 25 as a head coach, is pretty unusual, and I feel very blessed to have been able to do that. It's certainly good for my wife and my family, because we weren't moving every 3 years like so many people do.
Do you think Nebraska will win again?
Yeah, I think so. We have the right guy, and of course there's always impatience. People want to win now, but Scott inherited a tough situation, and he's had to rebuild the culture. And culture is kind of like turning a battleship. It isn't a 1 day, a 1 month, or a 1 year deal. It takes time, and he's making the right moves, and I think he'll do a fine job here. And so it's important for people to have patience, and in this day and age, patience is hard to come by. And so I hope people understand that it's a 5-year deal. And I think he's going to have a pretty good team this year. They'll be better. And but we have a very tough schedule. We have had for the first 2 years. We ended up playing Ohio State, we play Michigan, we play Wisconsin, and play some pretty good teams. But that's part of the deal.
Yeah, the patience is what also Baylor fans also trying to have with Dave Aranda. Thank you, Coach. I told you a little bit about my story. I was born in Omaha. My dad was military at Offutt Air Force Base and followed your career. And appreciate everything that you represent. Also appreciate you giving us time to talk about Dave Aranda, Baylor, and your career as well. Thank you, and stay safe, okay?
Well, thank you, David. Thank you for calling.
Dr. Tom Osborne on SicEm365 Radio.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof. where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
John McClain of the Houston Chronicle joins us now here on SicEm365 Radio. Always have him on Tuesdays, but a special segment this week because of the J.J. Watt news. John, the Texans have 2 surefire Hall of Famers. One of them is Andre Johnson, who's coming up soon, and J.J. Watt. What does his departure mean to the city of Houston?
Well, first of all, Paul, we've known this was coming since the end of the season, that he would be traded or released. They could have traded him. JJ will be 32 in March. He's coming off a career low of 5 sacks. He still can play. He didn't have any help as a pass rusher up front. But I don't think they could have gotten more than mid-round draft choice. By releasing him now, he can sign with any team anytime he wants. People here understand the situation. They're sad. He wants to play for a Super Bowl contender. He played for 6 division champions, played on 4 wild card game winners, never been beyond the second round of the playoffs, and that's important to him. So his legacy will never be changed. He might come back here with a team like the Titans, and he can play against the Texans twice a year. There'll be a lot of interest in him, a lot of possibilities about where he could go, but it will never change how the people feel about him. I think J.J. Watt, I know he's the most popular player in Texans history, and I think he's right up there with Earl Campbell as the most popular football players in Houston history.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. And part of that's not just because he was great on the field, but what he did after the hurricane, what he's done just for the city in general. He really embraced Houston as his home and never having been there before in his life before he got drafted by the Texans.
His legacy extends way beyond the field. He started doing things off the field when he came here in 2011 as an unknown rookie. Wade Phillips was the new defensive coordinator. Has changed from a 4-3 to a 3-4. He wanted Missouri outside linebacker Alden Smith. San Francisco traded up to get him. The Texans got stuck with Wisconsin defensive end J.J. Watt. The fans at NRG Stadium booed the pick. And, of course, then they became to love him and always will cherish what he did on and off the field. It wasn't just for Houston. His foundation gives money to programs, high school, junior high programs all across the country. His donations after Hurricane Harvey extended all the way across Southeast Texas. So he's done this for years, will continue to do it. And I've never seen any player, Paul, in any sport do as much in the community as Watt.
Yeah, the way he rallied people and fast after Hurricane Harvey, he ran away with the Walter Payton Award that year just because, he raised $20 million in like a week. It was unbelievable.
Started with I think he did a tweet. We were in Frisco. Texans were practicing at the Cowboys facility after a preseason game in New Orleans. And after the first night, he just did a video. He posted on Twitter, see if he could raise $100,000. And he ended up raising millions and millions and millions. It's helped a whole lot of people.
John, when it comes to him signing somewhere, like I've seen a lot of speculation, he could go to Pittsburgh and play with his brothers. Of course, they're in salary cap jail right now and may not be as close to the Super Bowl as they might think, with maybe having transition between Ben Roethlisberger and whoever the next guy is. Tennessee, you brought up. Green Bay makes a lot of sense because he's from Wisconsin. They need the help. Where do you see him jumping to realistic, or what kind of situation does he want?
I'm writing a column for Saturday about that possible destinations, and I think it'll definitely be a team that he believes is a playoff team that could go to the Super Bowl. And I don't think money will be the big issue to him. He had $100 million in his last contract, had a contract before that. He's made a fortune off the field and will continue to make a fortune off the field if he wants to. So I could see him going with a contender. An example, does he want to play in a 4-3 or 3-4? Now, he's not been your traditional 3-4 defensive end who lines up head up on the offensive tackle and takes him on. He likes to line up wide as a pass rusher. And what if Tampa loses defensive end Shaq Barrett? Would he like to go to Tampa? He and his wife could get a boat, and he could play for Bruce Arians, a great coach. Todd Bowles, great defensive coordinator. He loves Anthony Weaver. Weaver left the Texans for the Ravens. Would he go to the Ravens? They maybe the Ravens are interested in him. But Tennessee makes so much sense because not just Mike Vrabel. Vrabel's defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, was here. Watt knows him very well. And Watt and Vrabel had a great relationship. They need better defense. They need pass rushers. Nobody knows him better than Vrabel, other than maybe Anthony Weaver. What he can bring to a defense on the field, off the field, in the locker room. There's nothing negative about Watt, other than the fact he turns 32 in March, but he played all 16 games this year, and I know he wants to play at least another 3 years.
Obviously, this situation will affect Deshaun Watson, as the pendulum swings on that and whatever is going to go on there. But the Deshaun Watson situation, everything that's going on, was this maybe set in motion long before this last couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, I've been writing and broadcasting, telling you guys, Watt's out of here. We all knew that. His salary was $17.5 million. By releasing him, they wipe out their cap deficit and have millions to spend, depending on where the cap ends up right before the league year starts on March 17th. So they free up a lot of cap money. They'll be making other moves. This has nothing to do with Watson. I talked to the owner, Cal McNair, this morning. He said they're two totally different situations. situation is Deshaun's a Texan, and he will be a Texan. And right now they're telling everybody, on the record, off the record, we're not trading Watson. That doesn't mean, Paul, that they might not change their mind at some point. I personally believe somebody would have to give them a Godfather type offer, something that an offer they couldn't refuse to get them to part with him before the draft. Otherwise, I think he'll miss the offseason, preseason, training camp, and maybe a big part of the regular season.
All right, John, before I let you go, just wrap up what J.J. Watt means to Houston in a couple sentences and how you'll probably miss covering him, I'm sure.
J.J. Watt was a great interview. I will miss covering him, watching him. I always, every time the ball was snapped on defense, I focused on him to see how much he got double-teamed, sometimes triple-teamed, and I've never seen a player consistently give as great an effort as he does, and that's why I believe he'll be a first-ballot inductee into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Our great friend John McClain with us here on SicEm365 Radio.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sauces, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
He caught it. Touchdown. The Cowboys are out in front with 42 seconds left.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Valentine's Day coming up this weekend. Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco. We're now joined, and now we can say, by Pro Football Hall of Fame member Drew Pearson. The wait is finally over. I saw him in the end zone when they introduced the various Hall of Fame members who were there. He got the surprise recently, and of course then it's official. Drew, what does it mean to you?
It means everything. You know, it's the pinnacle of my career. I can't be recognized any further for what my career has meant to the game of pro football. And, you know, as we say in the business, all the players that play the game, it's the ultimate. And everybody strives for that, and everybody thinks of that at one time or other in their career. I never really dreamed of being a Hall of Famer. I thought that might be something that's totally out of reach. But I always dreamt of being a professional athlete. And when I got the opportunity to be a Dallas Cowboy, you know, I wanted my performance each and every week to hopefully one day be a stepping stone up into that Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor. That became my goal. And then after the career ended, you know, and you make all decade and get accolades like that, you know, then you start dreaming and hoping and maybe praying, definitely praying, you know, that you can get that Hall of Fame opportunity. So it means everything to me, and I'm glad I'm having this opportunity. And it was a great weekend last week in Tampa.
Drew, I saw the video of Jerry and Roger being there when you got the news. What did you think was going on before that happened?
Well, I thought it was going to be a meeting to discuss a real estate venture or having something to do with real estate, because that's what Rich Darrowripper told me in the letter that he wrote addressed to Roger and myself. And, you know, guys, I thought that might be logical because, you know, Roger and Jerry are involved in some business ventures, including the high-rise luxury apartments right there by the Star. So I thought it might have something to do with that. Might want to include me in that. It might have something to do with the Hail Mary and all that kind of thing. And when I got there, Jerry was in the room, and Roger and I really came in together. We arrived at the same time and went in the parking lot and, went into the room and met with Jerry, and we got to talking. And then there was a knock on the door, and Jerry Jones said, "Go answer the door." And I answered the door, and the doorwell was filled with David Baker, you know, because he's a pretty big man, including his head. And I told him that too, by the way, so, last weekend. But anyway, he was there, and I knew he was there to tell me something good, because I don't think he would want to come that far, especially in front of my quarterback and Hall of Famer Jerry Jones, to tell me no. And so he told me, "Drew, I'd like to welcome you as the next senior member into the Pro Football Hall of Fame." He had the cameras, you know, coming in right behind him, and, you know, the emotion I saw, it was a total surprise. I didn't expect that. They had set me up. I was a little upset with my quarterback, Roger, for not telling me or giving me some kind of signal, because we always had the telepathy on the field, you know. Sometimes we just had to look at each other to know what each other was thinking. And so Roger didn't give me any heads up there. And after Mr. Baker told me that I was being inducted in August, I looked over there and I see Roger grinning. I see Jerry grinning. They look like they ate the canary over there, you know. And so it was a great moment. And I'm glad it happened like that, because it was at the Cowboys facility. So that's important to me, doing something like that where the Cowboys do their business and the headquarters there. And it was important that Jerry Jones was there because he's a Hall of Famer. And, of course, having my quarterback there made it even more special. So it was a great day and a great moment. Actually, guys, I had known that since January 25th, okay? And we were sworn to secrecy so we could make it seem like a surprise when we got to Tampa. But we had known before then.
Wow. Drew, how much better do you just sleep having that closure, having that sense of, okay, this thing that I wanted so badly, and I feel as though I've earned it now? Your peers have said, yeah, absolutely you do, but just how much closure has that provided you when looking back on your career?
Well, sleep. I haven't slept yet. I'm scared to go to sleep. I'm scared I might go away.
Yeah, it's
when I wake up. Yeah, no, it means a lot, to my career. And yes, it does add closure. Exactly. I never really thought about that until you just said that. But it does. It does add closure because what else could there be? What else is more than the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I don't know. I've been in other Hall of Fames. This is about the 8th Hall of Fame that I'm in, starting with the Pop Warner Football Hall of Fame. And so, this is closure on my career. And as far as athletics are concerned, but it's not closure on my life.
Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Drew, I have to share this with you. So Saturday night, we have these texts that come down, if it's like ESPN or whoever, you have these alerts. And I saw the alert come down that said Tom Flores is the newest member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And either I miss yours or I was waiting for yours. Then I see Charles Woodson is a member. Of course, you've known this, and I'm thinking, no way! I never saw your alert, so I had to go online to make sure I was not living out a nightmare for you. But that's awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. We're happy.
Well, the thing about it, guys, last January, year ago this past January, you saw me get brokenhearted by not being selected for the Centennial class. And the thing about it, I only had to wait 8 months, to feel better from that, because that's when I got the call about, being the only senior nominee for the class of 2021. And, from there, everybody's telling me you're, pretty much guaranteed. But of course, at that point, I wasn't going to take anything for granted. But it sure makes me feel a lot better than all of a sudden after 8 months where I was so dejected of not getting in that day. 8 months later, here I am having the opportunity again to be in the mix and being a part of the process and have that hope again to, go in this time. And it happened this time. So, and it's a good time. That class I'm in with, man, that's a strong class. We had such a great time in Tampa. We kind of bonded together. And Tom Flores wasn't there because he's like 83 years old. He didn't want to travel across the country. But we did a Zoom with him and John Lynch and Peyton Manning. I didn't realize Peyton Manning was as tall as he is. That's a big dude, man. And we bonded together. We've been group texting together ever since we left there, and we're going to promise to keep in touch with each other through this process. And so it couldn't happen or couldn't have turned out any better for Drew Pearson, the original number 88.
Tom Flores, in fact, was on with us yesterday, and you had the travel schedule. Tom Flores joined us, and he said the same thing about the class that you did, including your name. So that it's all very much a respect across the board.
Absolutely. Tom Flores, he before he was the head coach, he was a wide receiver coach for the Oakland Raiders, and he coached the late great Cliff Branch, who should be a Hall of Famer. And he also coached the Hall of Famer, Fred Biletnikoff. So when we did the Zoom, he had a lot to say about me and what he appreciated from me as a wide receiver. So I appreciated that from him.
Drew, we know you well to be a dapper gentleman. You're always well-dressed. I know you've got a tailor at the ready. Have you had him send your measurements for your jacket already?
No, not yet, but you're right. It'll be tailored fit and looking good. And I did get measured for my bust. We took care of that during the weekend. And everybody's been asking me, what are you going to do? What's your bust going to look like? You're going to have an afro or no afro? Well, that's an easy question for me. The afro will definitely be there.
Nice.
It'll definitely be there. Yes. The biggest actor in NFL history, so it should be in the Hall of Fame.
Drew, we have had you on many times. We have had you on through the difficult struggles of why not, all of that. And it's just awesome. We appreciate, you're busy. A lot of people want to talk with you. So the fact that you joined us today means a lot. We were thrilled for you. Craig?
Yeah, Drew, what's the outpouring been like from Cowboys fans out there who have been waiting for that call?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Everybody's saying you're so deserving and it's about time and they finally got it right and all that kind of stuff. But it's also been great hearing from Joe Green, Joe Theismann, Marcus Allen, people like that congratulating me. And Joe Green said the Hall just got better now that you're a part of this team. Teammates like Roger, Too-Tall, Billy Joe, Tony Hill, Dorsett, Charlie Waters, Arneson, Danny White, all these guys congratulating me. And the best respect that you can have is when your teammates, tell you that you're a Hall of Famer. Because no one knows better than the guys you went to war with, the guys you were with and hanging around for every day. In a lot of those cases for, my career, which was 11 seasons. So, hearing those guys say that you deserve something like that, even the great Gil Brandt, saying that, Rayfield Wright calling me and saying welcome, and it's about time. So, it's good to hear the fans and what they have to say, but the respect from your teammates, that is really special for sure.
Well, as a text for us on the show, Drew has been a Hall of Fame hero in the sight of his fans for decades. We appreciate it. Congratulations. Enjoy. We know you are. Enjoy the next, forever. Then thanks for your time.
Yes. All right, guys. Anytime. Thank you. Be safe.
Drew Pearson has joined us a couple of 3 times on SicEm365 Radio.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm 365 Radio.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Top Golf Live at McLean Stadium the 25th through the 28th. Darryl Strawberry, longtime Major League Baseball player, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, and Yankees. And Darryl, thinking back on it, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees, three of the greatest baseball-type franchises of all time. Did you ever think about the fact you played for three of the almost elite franchises in baseball history?
No question about it. I did think about that. Think about the fact of playing in New York, all my years, and then going to LA and then having a chance with the Giants, and just think about the history of the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Yankees and Mets. So been a lot of history in New York City, and I just happen to be a great part of it, and I'm so grateful for it.
Well, look, nobody in New York, if you're a baseball fan, dislikes Darryl Strawberry because the last World Series the Mets won, you were on it and you're a key part of it, and then 3 World Series with the Yankees. So you're covered in all bases in the Big Apple, aren't you, Darryl?
You could say that. I'm a New York guy, and I enjoy the fact of playing in New York. I think a lot of guys talk about playing there, but I think a lot of times you don't understand about playing there because it's a lot different than anywhere else. You're not going to have to deal with so much media like you are in New York. When you walk in the clubhouse there, you're going to have to deal with about 40, 45 people, standing around looking at you. So you got to figure that out. Are you up for that every day? So, a lot of guys get there and then they realize that, this might have been the wrong place to come.
Darryl, what do you think of the current state of Major League Baseball?
I really don't know because I don't watch it a lot. I mean, I could see the, free agency of players and the salaries that they're getting now is incredible. Somebody made a way for me to get the salary I got. I wouldn't want to be like some of these other players who have played a very long time. I complain about the guys that are making the money they're making. They have every right, to be able to make the kind of money they make because they're going out there, they're performing. If you're performing at the highest level and you're succeeding, then, that's great. That's really what baseball is all about. Can you win at any cost? And I think that's what's happening today.
We appreciate your time. You are from Tampa. They're hosting the Super Bowl. We've been here since Tuesday evening, and we'll be leaving over the next 2 or 3 days. The game, of course, on Sunday night. And this is not the first time for Tampa, but with the Buccaneers playing at home, first time anyone's hosted it truly like this in the Super Bowl. Were you a Buccaneers fan growing up?
No, I actually didn't grow up there, but I actually moved there when I started playing with the Yankees. And I spent a lot of time around Tampa and saw Derek Brooks and those guys when they played with the Buccaneers. Warren Saps, I saw those players, and they were exciting to see. And I just think this Tampa team now, what can you say? It's Tom Brady, man. Come on. Everybody want to question his ability to play the game, and is he this, is he that? I mean, he's a proven legend. He's proved who he is, and what he's capable of doing. He goes from New England and goes to the Tampa Bay Bucs, and he takes them to the Super Bowl. So, you can't discredit a guy that, has done what he's done. I mean, he's been incredible. And then you got the young kid, Mahomes over there, just really, phenomenal. He's probably the next Tom Brady and going to be winning a couple Super Bowls just like that.
Daryl, your recovery from addiction is very well documented in what you had to overcome and come through to beat it. In this age where we have so many people battling with addiction, whether it be opioids or alcohol or cocaine or many different things, what was the key for you to finally turn it around and get back to where you were the Daryl Strawberry that was an athlete and a successful person?
Well, first of all, my prayers are also with everybody that struggle with addiction. Nobody signs up for that. I think people don't understand what happens in people's lives. And, my life was no different just being a baseball player. I grew up in a dysfunctional home with a father being a raging alcoholic who beat the crap out of me. Came home for the last time when I was 14, said he was going to kill the whole family. Had it not been for my mother getting us out of the house, we were going to kill him, me and my brother. So it could have been a tragedy in my life before I ever put the uniform on. So what I'm saying is that most people end up broken or some kind of trauma on the inside that leads them down that way to addiction. And for me to come back to where I'm at today, it's because I found a relationship with God. I got serious about my life and got to church, and I became a different person. And, now I've been in ministry for like the last 18 years. I've been preaching for the last 13 years. I became an evangelist and traveled the country 250 times, preaching the gospel. And it's the challenge of who you are. When you take the uniform off, so many guys get consumed with having the uniform on for the rest of their life and working in sports. And I just made a choice that I wasn't going to work in sports anymore, and I was going to do something different to help so many other people that are suffering.
Daryl, being in the position that you're in, how often do you come across people that just needed somebody to kind of understand what they're going through and have that relatability? Because for people who don't suffer from addiction, they look at it and they think, oh, that person's just a loser, or they did this or that. But for you having personally experienced, how many people do you come across that just needed to be able to relate to somebody else who's dealt with that sickness?
So many people. I mean, I go to so many large churches, even in Texas, in different places all over the place. And a lot of people, after I do a meet and greet in line, people always got somebody suffering and want me to pray for them and really encourage them, because of me overcoming those situations. And I think a lot of times people that don't understand, they're always pointing fingers. And when you point fingers, 3 fingers are pointing back at you because you don't never know what a person's going to do and how a person's going to change. And when you look back at the history of what addiction has done to celebrities, it's killed all of them. All of them are OD'd because nobody has ever said they had problems. All you had to do is say they have a problem so they can get the proper help. I think we sweep it under the rug too much, and they can never get the help, and for me, I was able to get the help because publicly everybody saw my fall, and then publicly everybody gets to see the transformation of my life today.
As dynamic of a player as you were, do you ever have regrets that it could have been more?
No, I don't. I don't have any regrets whatsoever. It was what it was supposed to be because I was broken when I was playing Major League Baseball and achieving all those things. And then after baseball, I would meet my lovely wife, Tracy, and we would get into ministry, and God would transform me and change my heart and give me a better platform to do greater things to help the multitude of people. And I think that's so incredible because my favorite minister of the gospel was Billy Graham, a man that was a winner of souls, and I know he did it all everywhere. And, and I get an opportunity to do that today. I had a great impact playing baseball in New York City and people cheering for me, but never like, the impact you have when you're winning souls for the Lord.
Do you feel like because of where you played that led to some of the other pressures you'd felt that maybe led to some of your issues? Because you're in New York and L.A. and San Francisco. Those are some big boy cities.
No, I think it was expected to happen in my life. It was just part of what was happening, from, the dysfunction and the brokenness that is real. The brokenness is so real on the inside of us, and we can't get to the place of getting healed until after we take the uniform off. Because see, when you put a uniform on, guy, and you achieve all these things and you're being successful, people think you should never have any problems because you're rich, you're famous, you live behind community gates, privileged. I was all that, but that doesn't make you well. And I think a lot of times people think that will make you well. Celebrities struggle more than anybody, but nobody ever really knows that they're struggling because nobody ever says they have a problem. And that's the problem that hides behind celebrities. Why people can't get well is because they're in the public eyes. And, the average person could struggle and people point their fingers at them and call them a loser. And you should never do that because we don't, like I said before, we don't really know what has happened to people. And we don't know the burden. We don't know the trauma and the misuse of what has happened to people's lives. And we're looking at a generation today with so many young, beautiful kids. They're not even living. For the grace of God, they go out. They're dying between 19 and 25, ODing from opiates and heroin because it's killing all the kids.
Daryl, I found it interesting that you mentioned that you didn't have any regrets, and is that kind of the philosophy of that our scars make us kind of who we are?
No question about it. Your scars make you who you are, and why are we so afraid to show our scars? And Christ showed us his scars on the cross, and guess what? He rescued us, redeemed us, and restored us to wholeness, and that's what he did for me. He found me in the pit and put me in a full pit, guys. I'm not even qualified to preach the gospel, but God called me and equipped me to do it, and here it is. Here it is. I played 17 years in the major league, and I was broken and left for dead, and there it is. God finds me in the pit, and he puts me in the pulpit to preach the gospel to help others. This is an incredible story, and not about me. It's an incredible story about how good he is, and I just want to be able to, convey that to people so they can see no matter how far we go down, you can always get back up. And the thing about it is, my struggles, had I not had the struggles of playing Major League Baseball and became this great Darryl Strawberry into the Hall of Fame, I made another, $60-70 million playing baseball, I probably would never be the man I am today doing what I'm doing. I love who I am today. I love the second half of my life and what I'm doing because it's having such a tremendous impact on so many other people's lives.
Gotta tell you, Daryl, it's so awesome to hear you say that. It really is. It's amazing to hear you say that. And when a person struggles with addiction, they might have some bad times with certain relationships or people in their lives. And the people that really truly care about you will try to stick with you through thick and thin. But sometimes it just gets really bad. What's it been like, or how's it been to kind of come across people who maybe knew you from a former life to see where you are today? How fulfilling is that to see that look in their eyes that you've made it to where you've made it?
Well, it's just so funny because you say that because, I remember when I started this journey about 18 years ago, and I said I was going to follow God and live a different life. And a lot of my former players, that played with her in my early days, kind of like said, yeah, let's see how long this lasts. Well, they're still waiting for me. They're still waiting for me to fall back. And it's 18 years, and I hadn't fallen back. There's nothing back there. So, it's not rewarding for me. I mean, it's just to show that the goodness of God is so real in your life when you do make that change. I'm no better than anybody else, guys. I just made a change for myself. I took the uniform off. I no longer wear the uniform. Yes, I'm Darryl Strawberry, and I won championships. I do all that stuff, but I'm not dangling that over my head. I don't go back to the reunions, and I go back to the reunions to be with the guys, but I don't go back to go to parties. I don't go back to be in the bars, hanging out, talking about what I used to do, because I don't do that anymore. I do different things in my life, and I'm satisfied with that. So it's not about getting back at anybody and saying, look at me. I'm just saying to those guys, look, I made a change, because they couldn't believe the fact that I would actually make a change, because I was a real heathen, womanizer, alcoholic, drug addict sinner when I was playing baseball.
Tell us about your new book that you've got out.
My new book, Turn Your Season Around. It's just like a baseball game. When you're in the middle of a baseball game, you can go 0 for 2 in the first 2 at-bats, but you still might have 2 more at-bats. You might come up in the 8th inning, the game on the line. Person can hit a bomb, and the game can be over. The game can be over. The game can be over. Just like that. That's turning the game around. Turning the game season around in life. That's what it's about. All down the transforms your life, and how he takes a person's life like my life, and what they saw and wrote about me. They said I would be dead. They didn't realize they were prophesizing over me. The old me is dead. He don't live anymore. Now a lot of guys that see me come back, and reporters see me come back, they have a great deal of respect for me because I've actually changed my life and didn't live the same. So I just encourage people that you can have a first 6 months of a season or a year like we've had with the pandemic, but still there's another season coming in your life that you could turn around. Don't stay hung up on the on the negative. Think about the positive of what can happen after this year is over for you.
Daryl, when you were having the explosiveness as a baseball player and winning championships, were you happy inside?
I was happy about playing baseball. See, putting the baseball uniform on just made me a baseball player. It never made me a man. You know, it just made me a baseball when I had a baseball uniform on, and I was happy about the things that I was achieving, but I wasn't happy as the man I was that I needed to become. And I didn't really become that man until I found Christ. And when I found Christ, then the symbol of me changed everything about me, and I was able to go back and, you know, do the things that were real. You know, the people that I hurt, my first 2 wives and my 6 kids, I was able to go back and make amends to them and tell them I'm sorry. I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good father. I did you guys wrong, and all I could do is make amends and move forward. I was able to go back and heal a lot of broken relationships that I destroyed, and I'm so grateful that I have become that man that I was able to do that before my life was over.
Daryl, how many people do you come across who have a hard time getting through their addiction because of that feeling of shame, that feeling that, you know, they've already done so many bad things that, you know, that shame hangs on them? And how do you go about talking to people about, you know, letting go of that burden that's so unnecessary?
Well, the first thing I try to do when I meet people like that, and I met a lot of young people like that when I had a treatment center. I was running treatment centers about 5 years ago, and then so many young people were coming in and were addicted to opium. They were all dying. They were all having shame and guilt about themselves. And the first thing that I try to make them understand is, I love you. You know, I'm not here to judge you, and I tell my story. I share who I am. I share my broken pieces, and I understand the pain. And I think that's the most important thing for someone to be able to help them move forward. Is we have to love them right where they're at. Doesn't mean we have to tolerate them, but we have to love them because they're broken inside, and lawlessness brings about a brokenness and broken generation, and they just keep falling over and over, and they keep doing the same thing. And they've had problems, you know, in the household where everybody sweeps it under the rug. And this is where I find out about most of the young generation people that I've dealt with over the years, that that's where they struggle, is because their people don't know how to love them right where they're at. Like I said before, we have to learn how to love them and tell them we care about them, but we don't have to tolerate the behavior that people do.
You know, you grew up in Crenshaw. You went to Crenshaw High School as a part of that famous baseball team, and of course, you were able to make it out. What were the temptations like in Crenshaw and getting out of that neighborhood to have a chance to succeed?
Well, the temptations are great anywhere, you know, but growing up in the hood was great, you know, because, you know, we kind of like knew everybody, and, you know, it was either you're going to go this way or that way. Either you're going to get involved with gangs or you're going to get involved with sports. So, you know, we made the choice that we was going to play sports. And when I say I talk about my brother Michael and my brother Ronnie and my best friend Eric Davis and Chris Brown. You know, we all grew up together and we played summer ball together, and we just had a drive to stay away from the activities that were out in the neighborhood, and we focused on playing ball and improving ourselves. And me and Eric Davis, you know, made our mind up that we were going to be the best. Well, once we get to the big leagues, we knew that when we were in high school that we were going to play Major League Baseball. Everybody was like saying, well, you guys are never going to be able to hit the way you hit. You know, him with his hands down and my leg kicking. And I guess everybody was wrong.
Matt, they damn sure were, man. You guys could flat out whip it with that bat. Eric Davis was a fun player to watch as well, man. He seemed like he hit the ball harder than anybody I could ever remember, even though, I mean, of course, when the ball left your bat as well. What do you think about Darryl Strawberry is our guest. Turn your season around, how God transforms your life. What do you think about all this stuff with stats and metrics and sabermetrics and all the stuff going on with baseball today?
I think it's totally insane. You know, baseball is a game about fundamentals, you know, and the fundamentals of baseball is real and always have been. And I think it's overrated with the stats of, you know, upswinging and swinging for home runs and striking out. You know, and I saw some games before because I didn't watch much, you know, and I got into the playoffs a few years ago, and I saw the Dodgers. I saw how good they were. They should have won a couple World Series, but they couldn't get anybody over, or they couldn't get anybody in, you know, from from third or second, to go to get a guy. Guy couldn't bunt, just the little things. And that's what baseball is really all about. They got away from that, and everybody's gotten away from wanting to swing up and hit the ball to the ballpark. What they don't realize is everybody's not a home run hitter. You may hit 2 or 3, 4 out of the year, but how many times you going to strike out? A guy that's hitting 3, 4 home runs shouldn't be striking out 90 times. There's no way he should be playing the game like that. And I just think they need to really get back to what the game is all about. It's the fundamentals of baseball that made the game great. You can't even break up a double play now. I remember I came and slid hard, tried to break up a double play because we hated the Cardinals, and Ozzie Smith I was trying to take him out, and he hopped over me and turned around, looked at me, and just threw his finger at it like, never, you can never get me. So that's what that's what baseball was all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Daryl, I'll share this with you, and I know you got to go, and really appreciate your time. Again, the book is Turn Your Season Around, Daryl Strawberry. You can also get on Twitter, and it's Straw Ministries is where you could follow him. He's on Instagram, Daryl Strawberry 18. But we've had 2 guests out of all the Hall of Fame guests, all the great superstars, whatever. We had Charles Haley, and we've had Daryl Strawberry. And the 2 stories that you tell, Charles battled depression and is trying to help with that. He battled it badly. I mean, he got real deep with us about the moment when perhaps he could have gone, absolutely not been around. And then also with your story as well, we really appreciate your insight, your transparency, honesty, and what you're trying to do.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for reaching out to me, Dave. I really appreciate it. So it's just so important to, really be able to encourage people after you have become an overcomer. See, I'm not sitting in the victim role. I'm an overcomer. So I'm not a victim of what happened to me. Most people say they're victims of what happened to them. No, I'm overcome by the blood of the Lamb. I have victory, so I need to go back and help somebody else.
Keep it up, Daryl. Keep it up, man.
Yeah. He played for the Mets. Yeah, the Mets and Dodgers, the Giants and Yankees, and they all came from the same place. The start of what the Dodgers, of course, and also the Giants, who began in New York. Daryl, thank you. God bless. Thanks for your time. Daryl Strawberry with us. Turn Your Season Around: How God Transforms Your Life Forward by Greg Laurie, New York Times bestseller.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks but you gotta feed, smoke, meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call an order at Rudy's Goop Meal.
Next in line.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Tim McMahon, ESPN.com with us here on SicEm365 Radio. Our old buddy used to do a weekly segment with us back in the old radio station days, but here with us now, covers the NBA like a blanket. Tim, first off, I want to just dive into the Mark Cuban and national anthem thing. Was this unnecessary kerfuffle, or did the NBA handle this the right way?
I'll be real honest. I don't necessarily like giving my opinion on things that are this sensitive of a subject.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't do well when I feel like I have to measure every word. Mm-hmm. And with a situation this sensitive, I don't want to say something without really thinking it through. So I guess my answer is I'm going to get crotch burn from sitting on this fence.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the thing you should do, because it's hard. It's a really difficult issue. And I was confused by the whole thing because,
I understand where Cuban is coming from. Mm-hmm. I understand the point that he was trying to make. And I certainly respect that. And if we're being realistic, I understand that the NBA, where they were coming from in terms of potential impact on business. And so, when politics and business mix, it's not even politics. I think politics is the wrong way to put it. I don't think Cuban was trying to make a political point. I think he was trying to make a point about social injustice. And so, I'll leave it at saying that I certainly understand where Cuban was coming from.
Yeah. All right. To the Mavericks on the court right now. It has not been, I think, the start to the season, obviously, that they thought, especially coming out of the bubble last year, where they were one of the most fun teams in the bubble. They really looked like they had potential. What's been the uneven, rocky nature of this season? What's the reason for that?
Well, the number one thing I've discovered this season is when half your rotation has COVID, it's going to be really hard to be consistent or to win games in the NBA. So obviously, when they've got three starters and a key reserve who have COVID, another key reserve who has to sit out for 10 days, due to contact tracing, that really threw their season for a loop. And then, some of the moves that they made this offseason, specifically trading Seth Curry to get Josh Richardson, that has not paid dividends. They have absolutely missed Seth Curry's shooting. They've been the worst three-point shooting team in the league. Richardson, who was one of the guys who got COVID, it's been a struggle for him, obviously, to get into any kind of a rhythm. I understand the logic behind that move. They felt like they had to drastically upgrade defensively to be able to truly contend. And I think they had confidence that with Luka, they would continue to be an elite offense. That has not been the case, despite the fact that he's been putting up, still elite offensive numbers. But given the circumstances, both with COVID, the difficulty of the schedule, the fact that Porzingis missed 9 games due to knee surgery, and really, that's my biggest concern, honestly, is about Porzingis. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's coming off a knee surgery, but the problem is he tends to be coming off a knee surgery. He's had a couple. Yeah, I think injury prone is fair. And if Porzingis isn't a bona fide second superstar, then the Mavericks are going to have a difficult time making that jump into legitimate contender status. The rest of the stuff, I think, I think things have started to turn around. They'll build a little bit of continuity. But again, to me, in terms of the big picture, which is can the Mavericks compete for a championship, that really comes down to, is Porzingis a legit co-star?
All right. Now, growing out to the rest of the NBA, the Nets, obviously kind of the talk of the league now because they got Harden. They're going to score 140 points a night, it seems like. But is their brand of basketball sustainable when it gets to the postseason?
They have to be better defensively. They know that. They're not done adding to that roster. Obviously Brooklyn will be very attractive to players who get buyouts. Those guys who, they want chances to contend, and, big markets have appeal to them. So Brooklyn clearly offers both of those things. They will be one of, if not the best offense in NBA history. But you can't be a bottom 5 defensive team and think that you're going to run through the playoffs. They understand that. They know they need to get better defensively, and it's to be determined whether they can be. They don't have to be great, but can they be good enough defensively to win a championship with this? Just really ridiculous collection of offensive talent that they have.
Yeah, you can score 145, but if you can't stop the team from giving up 146, then it's all for naught. All right, one of the more interesting stories in the NBA, too, is the Knicks right now, and Tom Thibodeau's got them playing a lot better. But is that one of those things that's kind of early in the season, and they've got some juice and some momentum, but they might get caught up because the talent's not really there yet in New York?
Well, I think Tibbs is, he has a reputation for being able to kind of squeeze everything out of a roster. But it's never been about this season for the Knicks. It's about finally trying to build something, which basically they've been failing to do for most of the last 2 decades. They've got some intriguing young pieces in there. Julius Randle, it will be interesting to see, is he a long-term fit there? He's certainly playing at a very high level. RJ Barrett's taken some major strides. Manuel quickly looks like one of the steals of this draft as a rookie guard who's really put up numbers. But then, with Tibbs, I think it is, you got to balance squeezing the absolute most out of this roster versus the big picture view. And I think that's one of the challenges of hiring him to take a job that is clearly in a rebuilding mode.
When it comes down to it, who can face down the Lakers? Because when it comes down to and the Lakers will have their ups and downs, and we'll see, people will sit out for 4, 5, 6 games and all that. But at the end of the day, they're pretty much going to be there.
Look, if, Anthony Davis has had some issues with his Achilles, that's obviously concerning. But if LeBron and Anthony Davis are healthy, the Lakers are heavy, heavy, heavy favorites to repeat. Can the Clippers challenge them? If Paul George keeps playing at the level he has been, you can make that argument. If Utah continues to shoot the ball the way that they have, Donovan Mitchell continues his ascent to potential superstar status. Obviously, with Gobert, you're going to have one of the better defenses in the league. I think Utah is one of those teams that they've positioned themselves to where, if there's an injury, if the Lakers play poorly, maybe they'd have a chance to pull off an upset, but it would absolutely be an upset. And then, Brooklyn has the firepower, but I don't know that Brooklyn's stopping LeBron and AD from scoring a whole bunch of points.
No, I don't think so either. Well, Tim, I do have to ask you, where are you on your smoky chili quotient since it's been a few years? What do I need to do to make sure that we get you taken care of?
Listen, can't you deliver? I mean, can I get some catering? What's going on here?
Well, look, I think with all the apps now, I mean, we should be able to DoorDash some chili to you. Smoak can get in his car. You're 90 miles away. It's not that far.
Yeah, just have them cook up a big old pot and deliver. That sounds good to me.
All right, I'll do it. Tim McMahon, ESPN.com with us here on SicEm365 Radio.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corp. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Josh Lomers, former Baylor center and also now radiology billing company in Longview, Texas, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. I put up that we were going to have you today on the show, and everyone said you gotta tip the show off with you because at your size, of course, that's the way it's supposed to start. How much do you get a chance to catch up on what Baylor's doing right now in men's basketball?
I definitely keep track of them. I don't get to watch every single game because I've got 2 kids right now. Almost 3 and almost 4 and almost 2. So, I don't get to watch every game, but I definitely keep track of them. I follow them, and I know how we did on pretty much all of them as soon as it's as of the next day.
Yeah, when you see what they're doing, of course, they've changed their style to go big. They have small ball because of the great guards, although inside they have some presence. When you watch what they've done now consistently year in and year out and where they are now, do you feel like that you kind of feel like you're part of setting that table when you arrived there back in the mid-2000s?
I definitely think the teams that I played on definitely helped start the kind of growth of Baylor basketball as being a thing. Scott Drew came in and really started doing well, and we allowed for some of that to happen, and it makes it a lot easier to recruit great players when you have a few good seasons under your belt. So I like to think that the teams I played on definitely had a part in helping build this program to what it is.
Everyone knows that when you arrived there, they had just kind of started. I think it was their second or third year with scholarship players. Everyone knows the story about what Scott Drew, what he took over. Why did you? What was it about Scott that you believed in what he could accomplish, and also be at a program that was trying to completely rebuild everything?
I think there was a few things. I will admit that the school was a big part of that. Just Baylor as a whole. I'm academics first guy. I always have been. Even back then, academics was. I knew I was going to have a life after basketball, so I needed to have a good education, and Baylor was a big part of that. The coaching staff that he had there were great guys and great people. It was close to home, so I was one of those sentimental guys that didn't want to go too far and wanted my family to be able to come watch me play. But they had a mindset of really being able to grow, and they had the deep Christian attitudes that they kept within the program. Even a lot of the Christian schools don't necessarily have the level of Christian mindset within the athletics department that Baylor has kind of kept. So within the basketball program. So, that was a big part of it too.
Josh Lomer's with us, SicEm365 Radio. I have one of the things that I noticed. I got here in June of 2010, but I was doing talk radio in Dallas when you guys made the run to the Elite Eight and eventually had that game with Duke. And even to this day, over a decade later, it's hard for Baylor fans to drop the emotions of the loss to Duke and the charge call. But I noticed there was a quote in a story with Jason King with SicEm365 back 7-8 months ago where you don't feel like that you guys got screwed. You just felt like, there's calls that happen and there's plenty of time to make up for them.
I don't think any one call changes the entire game. I definitely think that call was, changed some momentum and all of that. But, any call can happen, and you have to be able to play through that. That's part of the game. So as far as getting screwed, I don't think about that. It did hurt to lose though. So that still lingers.
Why did that team have the run? And I know that the program had been peaking, and I know that there had been Epe Udo and others that had come into the program. It was just the timing, the chemistry, the mixture. But still, that's an incredible run. What made that team, in your opinion, have that kind of run, and how much of a journey did you get a chance to enjoy along the way?
I tell everybody all the time that it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time. I think the big part was just the chemistry. Every team, just about every team up in the top of the D1 world has great players, right? And you have to have the chemistry to play together. You have to have the timing to make it right and the luck to hit their stride at the right point in time. And I think we did all of that. A big part of that was the chemistry, that our guys knew their roles, cared about the team that they played with, and fulfilled those roles. We didn't have a lot of people that were, trying to be out there and do it all. We had the guys that were going to fill the roles to the best of their ability and do what they needed to do, and that really propelled us to to be better than, we could have been had we not had that click and that chemistry that we really had.
Baylor had been in this long drought of the tournament, and then all of a sudden you have a team that has a chance to make the tournament. And then, of course, there's these live cameras now that they have at various places, especially for teams that might be on the bubble that may not get in. It was an incredibly emotional moment for Baylor, the university, and everything across the board, and a lot of people went nuts. What were your expectations and your reaction when that came down?
My reactions were that's where we belonged. In that time, in that moment, we had a good team and a good season and good momentum throughout that season. In my mind, that's where we belonged. It was an exciting time to be part of, breaking the drought that Baylor had in the past. But in the moment, it wasn't about, breaking that drought. It was about, this is the team that we have, and this is where we belong to be.
So, all right, you're now involved in the radiology billing company in the medical business. How did you get in? I think I saw on a LinkedIn that you actually had done this down in Sugar Land. You've done this as part of your career now. How did all that develop into what you're doing now? And really, what does it mean of what you're doing?
I worked in HR for a while and then transitioned into this. A part of that is that, my mother has been in the radiology business her whole life. I grew up watching her be the manager for a radiology group down in San Antonio. And so through those connections and through her, I was able to come in and join this company. And we've kind of built. We've continued to build and grow. It's great. It's one of those that we've been lucky throughout kind of all this COVID stuff that our staff has been able to work from home when necessary. The internet has allowed us to do that, and our systems allow us to do that. So it's been great. Getting here, it's a combination of, luck and who you know and what you've learned through school. And so understanding the business world and all of that, getting into working in the business world and then transitioning into medical billing has been just kind of a natural progression through my life. And again, because of the connections that I have to the radiology world.
Are you mainly working from home, or do you still travel, or has COVID changed what you do or how you do it?
Oh, COVID's definitely changed how we do what we do. Not so much what we do, because that process remains pretty much the same, but it's definitely changed how we do it. We're just now kind of transitioning some of our management team back into the offices on a more consistent basis. For a very long time, the vast majority of our staff has worked from home on all levels of the company, because we've been able to do that with the technology that we have, and we've wanted to keep, our staff safe. That's been kind of the important part to us. So it's changed that we're working from home and that we're having to deal with those that very quick transition. It's one thing to have a work from home situation that you're used to and you've built into and you work, but kind of all of a sudden not being able to see your staff and see your supervisors and see the people that you work with every day has been tough on all of us, and I'm sure it's been tough on everybody around the world. But it's definitely been tough. But it's been great that we've been able to do it and not had to, lose staff and have people lose their jobs and all that. So we've been able to keep that going, which has been a godsend to us and to our staff, and the ability to kind of keep all that going.
What would you be in this Baylor offense? I mean, obviously you would be inside, you'd be an enforcer, you would be a guy that pounds the boards, but you watch how they play now with all this small ball. What do you see?
I like to joke that I'm not 100% sure Scott Drew would recruit me today. Their game has definitely transitioned into, a very quick, fast, and athletic kind of game. And so I would be a position player when they needed somebody to get in there and bruise and get a few rebounds. I was always that guy who was going to, head down. You need somebody hit, let's do it, right? We'll get them out of the paint. And so if they needed that, I would fill that role. But honestly, I probably would have a limited role in the game that they play today. And that's true about all basketball. Basketball has transitioned pretty significantly over my lifetime, and definitely kind of prior to me, into being kind of that faster, smaller bigs, kind of game, left back to the basket sort of thing.
Yeah, there aren't many guys out that play the game that are your size, are there? They're just not. It's just, and it's just changed. There's some, of course, that are 7-footers now that shoot threes that like they're nothing, like Kevin Durant, some of the other guys that play at such a high level. What was it like for you to be a fan favorite? Because obviously you were.
I enjoyed being part of the team, being there and all of that. As far as being a fan favorite, I mean, it was always great to be supported by those fans. I mean, we've got great fans still to this day. Did back then, do now. So it was great to be a part of that and to experience those people and be able to talk to them. The amount of people that I met and talked to and got to know because of basketball that I never would have met had I not done that was amazing. I have a lot of friends that I still talk to that I only know because they were fans of basketball. I would have never run into them at any point in my life had it not been for that. And so that's a pretty amazing thing.
All right. Everyone knows that you are obviously someone that people loved to watch, and you played the game the way you had to play the game. There's 2 or 3 things that people bring up when I mentioned that we were going to have you. The other one, of course, is that the game against A&M, there was the 5 overtime game. There was the you inside making sure that if someone was going to come through the paint that they remembered you. Do you recall exactly what you were doing during that moment with Jones?
No, I remember that game, but at any given moment, I wouldn't be able to answer.
That particular moment?
Not in that moment. That game was great. It was one of those, I love the memory of, it being like the longest untelevised game in Big 12 history or something like that. But it was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of things going on. As far as any one given moment, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
So how much did Baylor University mean to you? You've mentioned that's one reason you ended up there. You ended up there because of what they do, their commitment and focus on religion. What did it mean to you now, these years later, a decade later?
That's hard to put into words. The experiences and the friends that I have from Baylor will never leave me. Some of my best friends in the world, I know because I went to Baylor. I know through Baylor. And so putting into words what that means to me, it shaped who I am as a person today, right? In a lot of different ways that I probably wouldn't even be able to think of, to be entirely honest.
Yeah, I know. I think the lack of words and the lack of you being able to explain it says everything to you of what Baylor meant to you. I mentioned you're from Bernie, the Greyhounds. One of my most miserable moments ever as an athlete was a football game at Bernie when it was almost as cold as it is right now in Texas, and it was raining. And we lost 7-0, fumbled on the 1-yard line, and Bernie eventually beat us 7-0. How much fun did you have in high school? And how, do you still even have anything with Bernie Greyhounds on it?
Oh, I still have a lot of things with Bernie Greyhounds on it. It's funny, I joke because I sometimes still wear some Greyhound stuff to football games around here because the Hallsville High School team is also purple. And so I just kind of reuse my high school stuff because it's already purple and it's the purple stuff that I have. So I still have a number of things. It was great. I loved being in Bernie. I loved the small town atmosphere that Bernie was when I was there. It's grown. Oh my gosh, it's grown. When I was there, it was one high school, and it was a very large 4A. Now they've changed the classification system, but it's 2 high schools, and they're both as big as the one I went to. So it's grown crazy. But back then, it was small town. I lived out in the country close by, and it was a great time.
Josh, we appreciate your time. Thanks for reminiscing and also kind of updating us on what you're doing. Good luck with what you're doing with radiology billing. Thanks for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. Second best.
Josh Lomers, former Baylor center. This is SicEm365 Radio. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financials, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Looking to the end zone. Got a big touchdown.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Here goes Frazier down the line, delivers the ball to Green. Green's on the corner, going down the sidelines. He's on his way. He's got a touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
It's a pass to Drew Pearson. He caught it. Touchdown. The Cowboys are out in front with 42 seconds left.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And good afternoon. Welcome to SicEm365 Radio. Kind of a unique version today. Craig, Paul, I'm David Smoak. We're in 3 different locations. Armstrong Sims as well, producing at his location because of some of the conditions, although it seems like at least this afternoon things are a little bit better, but we know that the weather's a big part of a lot of things that are going on. So hopefully you're safe and you're warm and you got whatever you need for the rest of the weekend. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, and Craig Smoak. Well, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Bruce Feldman has just now reported that Brian Stewart is about to be the defensive coordinator with Maryland. And I had somebody yesterday within Baylor Athletics tell me that the coaching staff was still a little bit fluid because of other jobs around the country that could open up. And so Brian Stewart, the cornerbacks coach, defensive backs coach, is now headed to Maryland, it appears.
Yeah, and he's got a NFL defensive coordinator experience. He's done that. Cowboys, Eagles, he's been there. I believe he's from that region of the country anyway. Mike Loxley's got something kind of interesting going on there, and we'll see what happens in Maryland. I know that on offense, Tua's brother is their quarterback now, so we'll see. But, when you get a chance to move up from a position coach to a coordinator, you kind of have to take that job most of the time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate just when you feel like the dust had settled a little bit that, now, hey, here's more of a shakeup. So, it's something to where the coaching carousel never really stops unless the season is right around the corner. So we knew that there could still be room for some more changeover. And here's some more changeover. And that's a solid group coming back. So I think whoever they go out and hire, they will have, Kalen Barnes. They'll have Raleigh Tejada. They'll have a good mix of guys to work with. So it'll be interesting to see who Aranda goes and picks. But with his background, it's better to be replacing, a cornerbacks coach than replacing your outright defensive coordinator or somebody else on the offensive side.
Yeah, no question about it, especially when you've had the changes with Mateos and Stuckey and, of course, with the offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, and everything seems like, at least for now, that's pretty stable as they head to the offseason, and that's the side of the ball that struggled the most. So we're going to have today kind of a mixture of segments. Some of them that, in fact, we've all been kind of busy throughout the last 2 or 3 hours. I had reached out to former Nebraska Hall of Fame and national championship coach in Tom Osborne. I talked to him before back when I was in East Texas, and I didn't know if I'd get a response quickly. He actually called me. Paul, you and I shared that earlier today. We'll have my conversation. Remember, he was one of those names like Dungy and others that reached out. Dave Aranda had conversations with him, and Osborne really does like Aranda, and he's got that quiet personality, that kind of calm demeanor. So we'll have that today coming up at 4:00.
I'm just glad that you didn't end the interview by saying I love you.
I don't remember if that's what
I checked. I checked. I thought that was the first.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was the first thing I did. I didn't listen to the beginning. I fast forwarded all the way to the end. I just wanted to Tom. I didn't want to say Coach Osborne. Thanks for being on SicEm365 Radio. I love you. I don't think it would have been that awkward, but I almost did it with Bobby Bowden. So I know how you have to deal with these things.
In the background, there's an autograph of football. One of the few autographs I have from anybody that's an autographed football that somebody inside of Congress had gotten for me. That was a Louis Gohmert out of East Texas had gotten for me. So we'll have that. Craig, I know there's certain personalities, and you've interviewed some guys that UFC or even some other personalities you've had. Is there a